Greetings, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lance, and this is episode 2, part 1 of my mini series, bLAck, which is an exploration of Black Los Angeles history and culture. And on this episode today, titled LA to LA or Louisiana to Los Angeles, I will be discussing the Great Migration and the connection between these two places. Now, the real treat of this episode is that I was able to sit down with my paternal grandmother, who is my only living grandparent, and interview her, which I was so just grateful that she was willing to talk to me. So my grandmother is from Louisiana, currently resides in Compton, California, and her home and the block that it's on is just a very special and foundational part to my upbringing. I actually used to live right around the corner from my grandma when I was a kid. So my intention and what I'm hoping to do with this video is really inspire other Black Americans to talk to their elders, because I cannot emphasize enough how important elders and ancestors are. And truly they are a wealth of history and knowledge. And the way that I like to think about it is once our elders become ancestors, it's very much comparable to a library getting burned down and all of those books and the knowledge that they contained just being unrecoverable. So it is very important that we sit down and talk to them. We get their stories, we get their knowledge, because this is how we maintain a relationship with ourselves across the different generations of our ancestry. And I do plan to make more videos updating my African spirituality journey. I practice Isheshe or Risha Ifa tradition. I did receive my hand of Ifa several months ago, and I just have so much more that I want to share and teach in regards to that, because I just know this information just would be enriching if it was understood on a community-wide level. Anywho, that's a separate video for a separate day before I go off topic. But so it's just imperative that we talk to them so we can understand who we are and what we are, and also just have some direction for where we're going as a community and people, and just to enrich our individual lives. Now, my prayer is that when I become an ancestor, my descendants will be able to benefit from this work I'm doing now, and will be able to appreciate it and just tap into the richness that is their heritage. Also, please be on the lookout for part 2, where I interview a maternal elder in Louisiana, and I just pretty much share some history from my mother's side. Now, my third or fourth, I gotta look back at my genealogy, my third or fourth great-grandfather founded an all-Black town outside of New Orleans very shortly after slavery, and this became a safe haven for Black and Indigenous people. And that land has been passed down. It's still owned in my family today, and I love visiting and honoring my ancestors down there. But yeah, that will be part 2 of this video. So before I get into the interview, I just want to do a brief little history of the Great Migration as it relates to Louisiana and Los Angeles. So Los Angeles. I meant to say Los Angeles. But so the migration of Black American families from Louisiana to California began in the 1920s, with its peak being between the 1930s and 60s. So now, while most Black folks went from the South to the North, New Orleans was very unique in that the train routes actually went out west. So you saw a lot of Southern Louisiana-based families end up in cities in the Bay Area of California, as well as in Southern California in cities like LA and the surrounding areas. And of course, we also went to other places like Texas and things, but California and definitely Texas too got a lot of those Louisiana migrants. Excuse me, I'm not a professional by any means. Anywho, when these Southern Louisiana-based families arrived in California, they brought with them a rich cultural legacy. And so I'm really excited to share one of their stories, my grandmother, Miss Baptiste. And if you're familiar with that last name, if you've seen the movie Eve's Bayou, you might recognize that the family's last name in that movie was Baptiste. So there is a really strong history and legacy behind that last name as well. Anywho, super excited to share. Also, a quick disclaimer, while my grandmother did agree and consent to participating in this interview and being a part of this documentary, I know that she's not really a big fan of pictures, so just out of respect for her and her privacy, I'm not going to include any pictures of her but I will include my great grandmother, who will be referenced in the interview, as well as my grandfather, who will be referenced in the thumbnail, just to give some sense of visuals. But anywho, enough talking. Enjoy the interview. Like, comment, subscribe, and I appreciate you if you're listening to this now. Okay, so first question: what is your name and relationship to me? Your first name?
Luella. I lost track of your name.
No, what's your relationship to me?
Oh, I'm your grandmother.
Yes, and feel free to not answer this, but how old are you?
79.
79. Wow. And where are you originally from? Where were you born?
Louisiana.
Okay.
I'm in Louisiana.
I'm in Louisiana, so that's near New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And where do you live now?
In LA.
Okay. And so, why did you move from Louisiana to Los Angeles? And what was that move like?
Well, my mother brought us out here when we brought me and my sister Dorothy out here when we was 8 and 9. I was 9 and Dorothy was 8-year old. For a better life.
Better life. Can you define what you mean by a better life? Like what?
Well, she wanted to bring us from the country into Los Angeles so we could go to school and get a better education.
And what was that like? Do you remember physically making that move, the journey? Did y'all drive, fly?
We took the bus. We came on a bus, Greyhound bus.
Wow. Okay. And so you mentioned your mother. What was your mother like, and what was your father like?
Well, my mother, she was a hard-working woman. She worked in the city. My grandfather kept us, and she came home only on the weekend. And when she came home on the weekend, we'd know when she come home because my grandfather let us know. And me and my sister Dorothy, we would sit on the rock on the street, wait for the bus to come. And when the bus comes, we'd know that she's on that bus, and we just greet her when she get off the bus. We used to sit at the bus stop and say, "Our mama coming home, our mama coming home." And we sat up there and wait for her until she come and she get off the bus. Then we'd go to the house and stay with my grandfather.
And your mother was from New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
And I believe I was told that she was a chef out there.
Yeah, she worked in the city as a rich white folks.
Okay.
As a cook.
Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. And she spoke Creole.
Yes.
Right? She spoke Creole. Mm-hmm. And did she ever speak it around you? Did you and Dorothy ever learn any of it?
Yeah, we learned it. We spoke it at the time we was back there because we had it in our blood and in our speech. But as we got older and came to California, it changed. We started living California life.
So that Grandma B, and Grandma B is my great grandmother, my grandmother's mother. Did she? So she stopped speaking it when she came out here.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, just outgrew it, I guess.
Okay.
But she still had it in there a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Do you remember any words? Anything you could say? Anything come to mind, or?
I can't even think of it.
Okay.
I can think of it at the time.
Okay. And I know we've talked before, and there wasn't too much you could say, but what do you remember about your father? What was he like?
You know, I don't know too much about my father. I know he was my father. And like I said, we left when we was 8 and 9 years old. And we've been out here all our life. And I don't know if him and my mother was together or what. I don't think they was together after Dorothy was born. Okay. Separated. I don't know too much about it.
So you mentioned Grandma B would work and you would stay with your grandfather.
Yeah, while she's at work.
So is there anything else that you can tell me about your grandparents, what you remember about them, what they were like? I'm assuming they were also from Louisiana and New Orleans too.
They're from Louisiana. My grandfather was a Cherokee Indian. And my grandmother, I don't know too much about her, but I know she was my grandmother. Where they met at, I don't know. So, but they was together in Louisiana. My grandfather, I think my grandfather had a brother. So the family was 2 brothers married 2 sisters. My grandfather and his brother married my grandmother and her sister. 2 sisters married 2 brothers out there.
Okay.
Sister.
And so I don't know much about him. So what can you tell me about my grandfather, Winston? What do you remember about him? What was he like? Anything that you can share about him?
I met Winston. He's in the military. He's a Marine, and he used to come out here on leave. Him and a guy named Knox. I met him through my mother friend Gert. I guess she used to party a lot, and she used to have a lot of Marines and stuff over to her house. And so when the Marines would come out here, they most stay at her house because she had like a boarding house, and they stayed there. And my mother lived in the back of Gert, and Gert lived in the front of the big old house. My mother lived in the back of the house. And that's how I ended up meeting my husband, Lester.
And anything that you can say about what his family was like? Yeah, anything about them? I know Ethel, his mom.
Yeah, they was nice people. I don't know too much about them, but Joy can know. Lisa know more about him because she's still in contact with him. She talks to him all the time. And his mother's deceased now.
Yeah.
And they was good people. I still say hi and bye to them whenever they call. And I speak to them every once in a while. But they were really nice people. And Winston was a hard head, as they say.
Really?
Yeah. His mother said he was a hard head. That's why he went to the service. Because he was a fighter. He liked to fight. And he fight in the service instead of the boxer. So he was like a hard head, so he decided to go to the service to get his back.
I always heard that Winston was really quiet, so this is my
Quiet
first time.
and a fighter.
Wow.
His mother said, look, he was just he was quiet. He was quiet now, but he was a fighter too. And he liked to fight. And he was getting in trouble. He decided to join the service. His mother said he was a fighter. And he fought in the service as a boxer while he was in there.
And are there any?
That's another family because it wasn't nothing that he wouldn't get from me. I mean, I always got a gift. He was very generous. He bought me a car with a ribbon on it. He bought me a TV. I mean, he just showered, how you say it?
Showered?
With gifts and stuff. But he was very generous, very generous.
My grandfather.
My grandfather. Okay. Yeah, my husband.
Yeah.
And Stanky.
And so, kind of going back to you moving to LA when you were younger. So, you've been here for a while.
8 or 9 years old. 7 years.
Longer than a lot of people. So, what are some changes that you've seen over the course of your life living in LA and Compton? How have things changed over the generations from your perspective?
My life of the word of the world is today.
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah, like specifically in LA, but if you want to relate it just broadly in general, that's cool too. And just also seeing like the different generations and how things have changed from, you to my auntie Lisa, and then to, Bree in our generation.
Well, things have changed. I'm just trying to see how to put it in.
Just kidding. Dang, Charmaine.
I know you're going to erase some of this and change this around.
Maybe, yeah.
Because,
it's okay if you whatever come to mind.
Yeah, things have changed with generation of me getting older and raising my family. I was a widow at 20 years old, 21 years old. Wow. My husband got killed within 2 years of us being married. So for me, I grew up. We grew up without a father. My mother raised us to the best of her ability, working hard, working in a restaurant, working as a maid, doing everything that she can for us. So that's why I was trying to figure out how to put these in words because she had a hard life just raising us by herself, but she did it. Yeah. And for me to say, I understood what she was doing, and I really was grateful for what she did because she was a worker and a hard worker. She had her fun, but she took care of her family. And me, for me, raising my kid, that's what we're talking about.
Hmm?
It was about the kids, huh? About me
Yeah,
raising my
whatever
kids.
come to mind. Yeah.
By me raising my family, I I lost my husband at 21 years old, and I raised all three. Well, I lost my husband 21 years old. Lisa was 6 months, and Stanky was a year. So I raised them by myself. Like I told my mother, I was not going to be a burden to her. I was always very independent. I hold my own. I worked as in downtown. I took care of my kids. I graduated with trade tech college, take up a trade, and I just did what I had to do to raise my family. I bought my first home when I was 20 some years old in 1971, and I went from there, and I just enjoyed doing what I did for my family. And so maybe I couldn't remember all this stuff.
Yeah.
It was hard, but I did it anyway. I raised two by myself, then I had a third child with Jermaine, and I lost his father. So I was a widow twice. So I raised all my kids by myself, independent. Nobody to help me. I did it by myself. Bought my house, and then my mother asked me to help her get a house. We're going to with my sister in that now. Signed, put my name on that house for my mother, and got her a house because my sister needed a place to live. And I just was very helpful to everyone that needed it. Yeah.
Very nice. So there seems to be a generational pattern that I'm getting from this conversation, where it's like the women or the matriarchs of the family
Yeah,
seem to kind
no
of step
women's and
up.
no men's.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yeah.
Grandma B raised hers, you raised yours,
Mm-hmm.
Lisa raised hers, so
Mm-hmm.
that's
Yeah.
an interesting pattern.
Yeah.
So what is there anything that you think is different about family dynamics today versus when you were raising a family?
I don't think women still have it hard.
Mm-hmm.
Women still raising kids by themselves, and men are still doing what men want to do. There's no difference.
So, kind of going back to you, just been in LA for a very long time, for a lot of the history here. What was it like during the civil rights movement in the '60s in LA?
Hmm. Ride, a lot of ride. That's when they had to ride, right, in the 60s.
The Watts riots?
That's ride. But everything was always the same. People working, doing what they had to do to take care of the family. I worked. I didn't ride, but my husband did. Everybody was out there stealing something, getting some free wine and liquor and stuff. I just stayed home. I was mostly a home person.
You're just not gonna admit it on this. No, I'm just kidding.
No, I was a home person. I didn't do no riding. That was
Okay.
never me. I was never a wild person. I always say that. That's what everybody say. Call me homie. Stay to myself.
Okay.
I say to myself.
Do you remember any encounters with any type of like racism, anything like that?
I, I, I got a lot of that. We went back to Louisiana to visit, and we already knew it was racist, and even out here, but I didn't deal with it too much out here. And when I went back to Louisiana to visit, white folks would see us, California license plate, we go to the store the man would, the white people would stick their butt out like that so we wouldn't pass in the store. Had a black bathroom and a white bathroom. We had to go through the back door, we couldn't come through the front door. And so the man would stick his booty out so we would say, excuse me. So, I'm from California now. I got attitude, you know. And so he stuck his butt out and he knew it was coming, had room to pass. So I just booted him in, told him move. And my mama told him, don't do that, don't do that. I said, well, he's seen us. And he did it anyway. So I just reacted. Yeah.
Cool. I kind of want to. I do have other questions, but
Yes.
I'm very interested in Louisiana. Um, Very interested. I might just circle back because I had a question, but I lost it.
Okay.
Um,
But I
so
don't know about Louisiana too much. That's why.
okay,
So, like I said, we've been here all our life.
right.
I didn't hardly visit. And when we did go visit, something had to happen. When somebody was sick, I went back to for my father's funeral, you know, and my auntie, we went back a few times, so we had a few family members, like Aunt Doe and bLAck gal. You know, they had a bar. My black dad had a ballroom, you know, we used to go to ballroom and stuff and drink and stuff. But most times, Dorothy was travel more than that. Dorothy would know about who's like, I was, like I said, I'm mistaken.
Did Grandma and B ever talk about Louisiana?
No, no, whenever we went, we always travel together in the car. And when she went, she visited her sisters, go to the bar, and stay with my Aunt Doe, and stay a few days, and then when time is ready to go, we didn't do a lot of talking about that back then. She just go to visit her sisters. And we were kids at that time, we weren't with her. And we were never in that conversation, you know, about whatever they really didn't talk about that. They just had a good time. My auntie bLAck gal had a bar room back there. She lived across the street, her bar room's across the street. Here's her house and here's her bar room right there. So we go to the bar. My Aunt Doe lived in the project, so we go spend the night with Aunt Doe. Yeah, that's it. My father's side of the family, I don't know them. They know us, but I don't know them.
Yeah. Okay. One other thing I wanted to ask too, in regards to LA, do you remember what the '90s were like? The Rodney King, excuse me, the Rodney King riots.
Yeah, only thing I know about the Rodney King ride is that they jumped on him or something and beat him up or something. Then that's how the ride started. But I really don't know too much about the, the ride. I know of the ride and stuff.
But you was
No,
no involvement.
no involvement.
Right.
I was nowhere near it. That's why I don't mention his name. But I know about what I seen on TV.
Okay. And this wasn't one of my questions, but it did come up, so feel free to, if you just want to pass on this. Um, you mentioned my grandfather being killed. Do you want to talk about what happened or how that happened?
Well, you really did tell the truth. Him and Knox, he's the best friend of his in the military. Um, what happened is, I had left Winston. I had just had Lisa. And Winston was not a wild person. He was not a bad person. He didn't smoke weed or nothing, but he did drink Hennessy. So we had our own, like I said, I had my own house. We had a little old house that was in back right in LA. And I just was in the hospital with Lisa. My mother had stanky off 1 years old. And I was in the hospital. I kept calling for him to come pick me up from the hospital. And he never did come. I kept calling and calling and calling. He never did come. So my Uncle Cabbage, my mother's brother, came and picked me up from the hospital. I had Lisa. When he picked me up, we had a front door key and a back door key. I had the back door key, and I came through the back door, and there was Winston, Dorothy Husband, Harold. He was wild. That's my brother. He was wild.
Mm-hmm.
There was Winston
That's
Harold.
Darius and them
Jimmy,
grandfather.
And there they are, two women in my house, and they partying down Winston smoking weed. That Winston was not a weed smoker, drink Hennessy, but he got hooked up with my brother-in-law. And here they having a party while I'm in the hospital having a baby.
Oh, while you was having the baby?
Yeah, I was in the hospital. I just had Lisa.
Oh, wow.
That's why I said I was calling for him to pick me up.
Yeah.
But he never did come, so my uncle had to come to get me. And so and him and Harold and two women in my house, partying, drinking, and smoking and stuff. So my uncle brought me home because it was time for me to go. I had to get out of the hospital. And he never come. So my uncle came and picked me up. I came through my back door. We had the front door key and the back door key. I had the back door key. So I came through the back door. There was Winston sitting at the table smoking. There was Harold and the girls in the living room having them a good time. They having them a ball. So I went in the bedroom. I put Lisa in the bed. I put Stanky in the bedroom. I closed the door. We had a 38. He had a gun. I got the gun out the closet. And I went in the living room. And I told them, get this so and so out of my house. By that time, my husband, I was that good. I know this story.
You got all the details.
Oh yeah, I never forget this story because it happened to me. And we just had a baby. He took the gun from me, and I was between the couch and the chair, and he cocked it on me. And when he cocked it on me, I threw my hand up in there, and I said, "This is it." I left. Never turn around. So when I leave, I don't go back. I left, never turn around. Winston lost his job dealing with my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law was the type of man, he didn't work. He was a party person. He's a fine. Harold was a pretty boy. Okay. He was a pretty boy. He was pretty, he nice guy. But he thought it was that way. So Winston ended up losing his job at Bethlehem Steel. I left, and I told my mother, because I never was a burden to nobody. I said, I'm not going to be a burden to you. But I had a job, and I had 2 jobs. I said, I'm going to get my own apartment. So she said, don't worry about it, you're not a burden. I said, no, but this is me. I've always been very independent. I got my own apartment. I worked in at nights at downtown in LA. It's going to close. Trim tag off close. I got my own apartment. My sister Dorothy, she would never go get it. And she said, can I move in with you? So I said, okay, I get 2 bedrooms. I got a one bedroom for me, and 1 bedroom for her and her 2 kids. And my husband, Winston, I had a dream. I had left when I was I had a dream. I told her again, I said, something's wrong. I said, scared. Something gonna happen. I said, can I sleep with you? She said, yeah. So I got in bed with her. My mother, I lived down the street from my mom on 28th Street. I lived down the street from my mom and Kurt. And so my mom and Kurt walked down to our apartment. I said, I know. I said, something wrong. I said, Winston is dead, huh? She said, yeah. She said, I told her, I said, I know it. I felt it. I said, I had a dream. I said, Winston is dead. So that's the night of that shot on the projects. The man said, he said that they were trying to rob him.
It's off Imperial?
Yeah,
oh, wow. That gas station off Imperial. By Hawkins.
Yeah.
Wow.
On Imperial and 6th. The gas station.
Yeah. I never knew it was there. Wow.
Yeah, because I lived in the projects. Project was right across the street. So we lived there. And so, I lived there then. I had moved there, but I didn't know at that time it was that project, that gas station. Because I lived down the street on this one, but I did. Lived in a project when I was a kid. And so, they said the man said that they were trying to rob him. I don't know the date. Did they try to rob him? Did they, did he try to rob him, or did he pay for the gas, him and Knox, or what? But Winston turned his head for a second and then shot him in the head. But Knox got shot in the stomach, and Winston died right in there. Knox suffered for a while. Knox didn't die because Winston was his best friend. He ended up, he's not taking care of himself. So he ended up dying to take around this year. And Knox is Messina's grandfather. You know, he married to my great daughter. He got married at the same time. He got married downtown at Hall Records. 2 friends married 2 friends. And that's what happened to his grandfather. Got caught with got caught up with my grandfather. But Winston was not a bad person. He was very good. A good man for me to get from him. I mean, he bought me a car, having go to the grill, anything I had. I had a nice house, a nice 1 bedroom apartment. He wasn't stingy, but he got caught up with my grandma smoking that weed and lose his job. He went to
Smoking
Bethlehem
that
Steel.
weed.
He worked at Bethlehem Steel. They don't smoke or drink. So if they go up and one don't do it, you smoke or drink? Yeah, like that. Well, I'm just saying, ain't nothing wrong with it. But I'm just saying, Sankey don't smoke or drink. You know. And his own thing, doing his own thing.
Yeah.
But that's what happened to that. Other than that, he was a good person. Just caught up with my brother.
Yeah. So another question that wasn't on here, but you said some really interesting things. You talked about having dreams and sort of like intuitive feelings that something was
Well,
wrong.
you know what? I was, I've been like that all my life. Something about me and Dorothy was raised in church in the country. Dorothy sang, I didn't sing, Dorothy was sing, I can't sing. But I already had a vision and dream. And so I always have had that when I was 10 or 11 years old. I already know something happened before it happened. When we living in the projects, I already had that feeling God was dealing with me very early. Very early. I mean, I already knew what's going to happen before it happened. I always would say something before it happened. There would be money on the ground. I would kick the purse, a little corn purse, all the way to the projects, and then I'd pick it up. I mean, I already had visions of knowing what going to happen. I just had it. And like I tell Lisa and right now, I said, before something happened, I know it's going to happen before it happened. Because God had already gave me the feeling, I could feel it in my stomach.
People will call you a psychic.
You know? I don't know.
You might not want to say that.
No, I would be, but you know, God chose us.
Right.
Chose us what He wants you to know. Because I didn't believe in the truth is the truth. And when He dealt with me in these ways, like when I got baptized out here, so my mom kept us in church in the country. We went to church in the country, so they didn't know about church. We didn't know. We knew about going to church as a little kid. Then I would pastor when pastor got to church in the backyard. He said, when I got saved, he said, Lord, how did you feel? I said, you feel in your stomach that God did with you inside. Everything is inside of you. Your, how can I say it? But your feelings is in your guts. The God is inside of you already. And when you get that feeling, you know it. And that feeling is like a Holy Ghost feeling. Yeah. And I did get all that when I was young. And I just told myself, I said, I don't know. I just had this feeling, and it's a good feeling, not a bad feeling, always been a good feeling. I could go to a store, and if somebody's stealing something, and I'm fit to take it, do it. Because I feel I can't steal. Yeah. I cannot steal. I cannot take nothing from nobody. Because Miss Campbell had a store, and Dolly worked there, and I couldn't even steal a banana. I couldn't even steal a banana. But I had that feeling I just could not take from people. I had that feeling. I give more than I receive. So that's, I would have that feeling. That's why I feel like I give more than I get credit for nowadays. And I did. I ain't gonna go no further than that with my sister. So yeah, I give more than I get receive.
Well, thank you. Did Grandma B have any spiritual gifts that you were aware of?
Well, only thing I know is that she knows something was wrong, and she got married to the sailor, and something was wrong. I'm telling you, she really watches. She loves her kids, and there's something wrong. It ain't nothing but it's the kid. I'm gonna tell you like it is. Therefore, she was kid, it's a kid. And she was married to the sailor. We lived in a garage, and me, Dorothy, and Chris, and she had married this sailor, and she noticed he was not there when she got off work. He had snuck off to come to molest us. But she found out, she left, and he was trying to break in on us. So we lived in a garage. Me and Joy lived in a garage. My mama lived in a garage. That's when we first came out and brought after the day that you asked. And we lived in the garage. She called him. He was trying to break in. And he's a sailor. And when she caught him, she struck his eyes out of the can. They would take her to jail. But they didn't do it because she told me trying to break in and molest her rooms. So she got out of that. And they took him. She didn't see him no more. They took him away. And he said, yeah, you're trying to break in on us.
She was a fighter.
Oh, she always been a fighter.
I heard, didn't she bite someone's finger off?
Yes. Yes. A friend who lived in a project, and mama had another man friend, high yellow. You know, these men like them high yellow women in the South. She high yellow.
She was Creole.
She Creole, pretty, long, pretty black hair, long hair, mouthful of gold, top and bottom. And these women, we never nobody ever heard Bert, her and her best friend, but these men surround her. And I don't go nowhere. Like I said, I didn't go nowhere. I had to watch my mouth. And these men just, or these women's husbands, come on, all they do is drink. She wouldn't do it that day. If they buy liquor, they gonna drink at her Bert. So they drinking and partying and everything. One of the man's wife, girlfriend or whatever, she was came over. So what is your mama? I took her, she shook her hand and thing in my face or something. And she got a hold of her finger, bit her finger off. And, and we live in the project, and all I could do was just spit the finger on the curb, on the side of the curb. And that was that. I had to watch my mama. I had to watch her because she's a party person. She like to have fun. She like to drink. And I didn't go nowhere. I wasn't into boys. Boy, did, and all of us was into boys having fun and stuff. But like I told them, I said, no, I gotta watch my mama. So I stay home. I watch my mama. And these men's a jumper. I had to fight. I went to jail. I'm 13 years old, going to jail. So when they jump, she was with a prize fighter. They go do. That's when my Uncle Herman come in there. He told my Uncle Herman how to fight, but my mama looked. They were men jumping because they're jealous. A pretty woman with gold, mouthful of gold, and all these men surrounded. He knocked her out in the kitchen. And when I found out, I got my knife and I stabbed him. I kept stabbing him in the back until when the police came, he told the police, I said my mom told no, she did it. She did the bomb. And I stabbed her, they knocked her out. You know, I didn't go nowhere. I know she was a woman that liked to have fun. So I had to stay home and protect her. And that's what I did.
So that's interesting because you said that Grandma B kept y'all in church, but it sounded like she was a little wild.
Oh yeah, she had her fun. That was in the country. That was in the country. She kept us in church in the country. Okay. She kept us in church out here too, but she didn't go.
So she wasn't very spiritual?
Yeah, she's spiritual, but she just wasn't like, she kept us in Sunday school, Easter, like when Easter stuff, we would go to church on Justin, I love Easter. But she mostly went to church back there, but when she got her hip, she didn't go to church too much. She mostly worked on Sunday at the restaurant in Watts. But she worked in a cafe.
Was it Jordan's?
In Watts, at that time, Watts had, we used to go to the movies in Watts while she was at work. She used to work in Watts at the cafe. But she wasn't in church like she was in the country. And she did go, but she did rejoin as she got older. As she got older, she did rejoin, and she been there since. During her young days, she got to have fun. Have fun. And have fun. Yeah. That's when she was in her young days. At that time went over. That time when her life changed. She got in church. She was better. She was doing that all her life. This was when she worked in Watts in the restaurants.
Okay. And so my last question is more just kind of about you and some of your own dreams. So I heard that you used to want to be a flight attendant.
I did when I was young. I did like things. I wanted to be a flight attendant. Living in the project, and I did. But my education, like me, I was not real smart like people. You know, you had to have good reading skill and all that kind. I was real, real smart. I had enough smart to finish school and to go to school, but I wanted to be there. But I like drawing too. I even got a thing for drawing. They wanted to send me to drawing school.
Yeah, scholarship, right?
Uh-huh.
I heard.
And I backed out of that because I wasn't as smart as most people, reading and writing and stuff like that. So I let that pass. But at that time, I wish I'd have did it because at that time, our schooling wasn't as bad as it is now. I mean, at that time, you could get away with stuff more than what you get away with now. I know what you're saying,
Oh, good.
Yeah. But you have to have a good education to be a drawer. Because they teach you all that. But see, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to be a flight attendant in a project. It's really an airplane and these things. So this is what I want to be. But thinking about it and not doing it two different things.
Yeah, for sure. It's
Yeah.
a challenge getting out there and making it
So I
a
decided
reality.
this work.
Well, thank you.
That's it?
That was all my questions.
Oh, am I on that too?
Yeah.
Good, good.
What you mean?
Let me hear.
You want to hear it? Okay.
Oh, good. And I didn't.